Hip-hop, as we know it today, would never exist without sampling, and by extension of that, without samplers. And one of the most influential ones is without a doubt the Akai MPC. Now you may be wondering, what does sampling even mean? And the answer to that is not a simple one. Sampling is the art of taking any piece of sound and turning it into something new. It could be as simple as hitting a desk with a pencil and recording it, and then turning it into a drum loop. It could also be as complex as taking bits of sound from other songs and then rearranging them or combining them to make an original piece. Many songs nowadays use samples in their composition as it's only gotten bigger and more popular.
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kinda odd. No barking from the dog.
Come on. Ha, sicker than your average. Pop a twist cabbage off instinct.
Those are all examples of hit songs that utilize samples. What a sampler is, then, is something that samples. It's the physical instrument that can allow you to edit, play back, and arrange your sound clips. They have existed since the early 60s, but started as devices that played back cassette tapes instead of digitally recording the audio. Now you may be wondering how or why the history of sampling is linked so closely to that of hip-hop. The truth is that they have coincided since the beginning. They were both born on the same night, August 11th of 1973. That night, DJ Kool Herc was DJing for a party, and he extended a drum break by playing it on one record and then fading into another copy of the same record, and then back and forth to extend it as long as he liked. People could then dance or even rap over that sampled loop. This is commonly referred to as the birth of hip-hop and sampling as we know it today. For a while, productions like that were very limited. They required looping vinyls just like what had been done at that party until the advent of digital samplers. This device allowed those recorded bits to be digitally stored and then played back and manipulated. This was revolutionary for the hip-hop scene and allowed much more complex compositions to be made. However, many of these samplers had very steep learning curves and could be in the tens of thousands of dollars. That changed with the MPC-60, designed by Roger Linn and Akai. It was released in 1988 and was around a third of the cost of the average sampler on the market, being the small price of $5,000. It also had the advantage of a much more familiar design. It had 16 velocity-sensitive rubber pads, additional buttons and knobs for extra tweaking, and a small screen. The friendlier layout allowed musicians to begin producing at much younger ages, such as Almas Keith. He started producing when he was only 16 years old and credited it to the MPC. Since then, he went on to work with Frank Ocean, producing a large chunk of Blonde, and additionally artists such as Erykah Badu and Jay-Z. Another more user-friendly aspect of it was the ability to use it without a huge studio setup. Production could start and end solely on the MPC, and it could be plugged into any home stereo system. It also had a highly sought-after swing algorithm used to make the drums feel looser and more human. To this day, Akai has continued to improve upon their designs with iterations and iterations of MPCs, with the MPC-1 being the newest. A good example of the type of production that was made possible in the MPC would be Runnin' by J Dilla, showcased in the following video by Tracklib. Another landmark example of MPC use is DJ Shadow's album Introducing. It is critically acclaimed and was the first album ever to be made of only samples. It's also what's been playing in the background of this video the whole time. It was made entirely on the first MPC, the MPC 60. The influence the MPC has had spreads far and wide. Many sought-after producers used an MPC, such as Kanye West, Outkast's Big Boy, A Tribe Called Quest's Q-Tip. An MPC is actually displayed very prominently on one of his solo album covers, and Dr. Dre, just to name a few. Even Lady Gaga has been seen with one during live shows. Additionally, one of the most influential producers of all time, the late J Dillas, whose production was just used as an example, MPC was donated to a Smithsonian museum for its significance and cultural relevance. The importance of the MPC cannot be overstated, and it will always be looked back upon and recognized for its significance. It's appreciated by artists from all genres, but was especially impactful to the hip-hop scene, and a big part of the reason it sounds the way it does today.